When you embark on these things, somehow the whole thing is unreal until it's finished. And then you suddenly realise that you have achieved what you set out to do, not just adequately, but in a rather exceptional way.
Wraxall Yard is a former dairy farm on the outskirts of a hamlet in the West Dorset area of outstanding natural beauty that has been renovated into inclusive holiday accommodation, a community space, and a kind of small educational farm. The client for the project, Nick Reed, had personal experience through his mother, who had multiple sclerosis, of the challenges for people in wheelchairs and with a range of disabilities in finding attractive, comfortable, fully inclusive holiday accommodation. He realised that a lot of places either simply weren't inclusive or their sort of accessible features had been retrofitted. So people who deserved the nicest possible holiday experiences were actually being really shortchanged in terms of the environments that they were being offered. The ambition here was to create something really, really beautiful where people could come and relax and engage with the natural world and be very comfortable and independent.
It just makes you feel a bit more normal because, you know, like people can go to these beautiful places, but I couldn't go because it's not accessible, because it's been thought out in a way that makes it look nice, but then also means that it's not accessible. So it's nice to just have somewhere that is a beautiful place to stay and also be accessible.
Often you have to compromise on where you might want to go on holiday, whereas here we haven't had to compromise at all. And we don't have to go, oh, that's a shame, that would be lovely to stay in, but we better find the accessible place.
The exact plan took quite a while to work out, and it was at quite an early stage that we engaged Clementine Blakemore to embark on a research and feasibility study. Clem completely immersed herself in that process, and a lot of the environmental and social and educational elements of the project came out through that process.
We did this long period of research at the beginning of the project, going to see other facilities in the area supposedly offering a similar thing. And what we realised that often people see inclusive design as a standard you're obliged to meet rather than something that can actually enhance the design. One of the key elements of the brief was to integrate the accessible features really elegantly in such a way that it wasn't a compromise in terms of the overall design vision. A lot of the things which were requirements in terms of space actually just provide a generosity that everyone benefits from.
One of the interesting things about engineering and architecture is they're all site-specific. And the challenge with Wraxall Yard was, when we first came here, it's this beautiful, almost romantic ruin of a dairy farm. What it doesn't need is changing. So the challenge was to retain as much existing fabric as possible without ruining the character and the history that was already here. One of the things we did initially was to survey all the timber trusses and decide which ones we could save and reuse. Few of the trusses are still in their original places, but pretty much all the trusses are original.
The garden here, it's got a layered ecology in it. We've used an informal arrangement of trees, shrubs and perennials to ensure that it does the best for biodiversity and also gives that sense of immersiveness for the people within it. That feeling of being within one of the terrace spaces, dine there with family, but also not necessarily see the next terrace space on. So that arrangement of trees and shrubs helps to filter views and creates an intimacy within the courtyard itself.
What I'm most proud of is our partnership with Green Island, who are a charity putting on incredible holidays for disabled people whilst also allowing their families at home to have a rest. It really feels like the perfect realisation of Wraxall Yard's potential.
Well, for Green Island Holiday Trust, this is just the most perfect venue because everything is disabled adapted. We haven't got any steps, we haven't got any big slopes, and we often have holidaymakers in wheelchairs, and I can see when they arrive they might be a little bit worried and uptight, but very soon the stresses melt away and we have a wonderful time.
I think we all knew that we were working on something really special that was going to have a really positive impact on a lot of people. And I think Nick really inspired us all to sort of go the extra mile.
There's something about the courtyard that puts them in a completely relaxed state. It's almost as though the place had some sort of magical charm. I often think about it as if Clem had cast some sort of spell to have this incredible emotional response from our guests. They arrive here and can immediately relax, they can immediately breathe out.